With the very latest on Alberta, the province now under a state of public health emergency, and Premier Jason Kenney is warning the still surging fourth wave is pushing Alberta's healthcare system to the brink.
We may run out of staffed intensive care beds within the next 10 days. Unless we slow transmission, particularly amongst unvaccinated Albertans, we simply will not be able to provide adequate care to everyone who gets sick.
Kenney's warning that hospitals could soon be overwhelmed came just hours after the province reported a new pandemic record for COVID patients in ICUs. As we look at the map, a key data point, Alberta's active case rate, 417 cases per 100,000 people. It remains the highest in the country. Now the Premier is reestablishing COVID restrictions he lifted in July triumphantly, and doing something he has resisted until now, bringing in a vaccine passport. John Northcott is taking a look at the situation as well as these sweeping new measures. John.
Good morning, Heather. This is a situation that has, of course, very real consequences for those struggling for their lives in Alberta ICUs and for their families. We're talking about an 88% capacity in the ICU, so much so that smaller communities like Red Deer, for example, have had to move patients to Calgary and Edmonton. And with that timeline set by the Premier himself of as few days as 10 before ICU capacity runs out in the province, requests potentially going out to other provinces, Saskatchewan saying no capacity, waiting to hear back from Ontario, Manitoba and British Columbia whether they are able to accommodate any patients from the province of Alberta. But we're talking about a situation, 1,600 cases in a day. That is 2.5 times, for example, comparable case numbers in Ontario, with the population almost a third of that of the province of Ontario. We're also talking about 24 deaths in 24 hours. Pointed out, 1 death per hour by Dr. Dina Hinshaw, the medical officer of health for the province. Effectively bringing in measures around mandatory stay at home and work from home. Gatherings limited to 1 household plus another, only up to 10 people, as well as that. Masking in schools from grade 4 and upwards. Calling it a proof of vaccination, or in the words of the Premier, a negative test, but not in the words of so many others, calling it a vaccine passport. Still, that is everything in name but, as they move forward with a situation that many hoped wouldn't, and certainly in the words of the Premier, a situation that many are calling a stunning about-face, especially when we look at what he said and what he is saying. Have a listen.
On July the 1st, Alberta isn't just open for summer, but I believe will be open for good. We believed that we could prudently move away from addressing COVID as a pandemic and towards an endemic. It is now clear that we were wrong, and for that, I apologize.
A stunning reversal to many to hear that change from Premier Kenney. What has been the early reaction to this, John?
The reaction has been, depending on whether it's the political reaction or the medical reaction, concerns by many that it is too little too late, and that with this 10-day horizon they have to reach maximum capacity in ICU, really unprecedented in the Canadian healthcare scenario. Some, including Dr. Matthew Outen on the show earlier today, had this to say.
It seems a bit like hitting the brakes on your sports car when it's heading towards the cliff, but waiting until the last few seconds to do so. And can you slow your sports car down in enough time to stop going off the cliff? I think this is cutting it very, very close.
Opposition leader Rachel Notley coming out and saying very strong words in a series of tweets aimed directly at the Premier, saying words such as, not an apology, she argues, because he went on to qualify it, embarrassing attempt to duck responsibility, unforgivably late, and saying that the entire province, all Albertans, will pay for their, meaning the UCP and the Premier's, cowardice. Pretty clear there. The Mayor of Calgary, who has raised concerns about the opening up, arguing it was too rapid. Still, Naheed Nenshi arguing that he is neither liberal or conservative. But this is what he had to say.
I'm mad. I'm sad. I'm disappointed. I have a little bit of better late than never. But I can't shake the feeling that it didn't have to be this way.
Still, the reality is that for 18,000 Albertans today, those in hospital, those recovering at home, and those surrounded by loved ones, the reality is COVID is unprecedented in their situation, and that will be the focus for them and for medical personnel moving forward. Heather?
John, thank you very much.